Pathetic kid. You'll never make it big, my dad told me, his voice heavy with disappointment. Not long after, I was trending across the country. I'd just been named one of the youngest male founders in AG Tech. At the family reunion, jaws dropped when I pulled up in my Porsche. My name is Ethan Brooks. I'm 23 years old, and I built an AG Tech startup from scratch in Boise, Idaho. Here, success means dirt under your nails and a farmer's tan. My father, James, ran a potato farm for 30 years, valuing a man's worth by the sweat on his brow. When I chose tech over the family farm, the hurt in his eyes cut deeper than any plow could carve. For 3 years, I'd been developing an AI system to optimize crop yields. Working late nights, weekends, holidays, my eyes burning from staring at screens while my friends lived carefree lives. My dad would pass my room, scoff, and mutter about kids glued to gadgets. Each jab pushed me to work harder to prove him wrong. Last month, I overheard him at our family dinner, telling my uncle, "Ethan will be back digging dirt by fall. That boy couldn't sell rain in a drought." I stayed silent, ate my meal, helped with dishes, and drove back to my apartment, my heart heavy but my focus sharp, ready to close the biggest deal of my life. I grew up watching my father expand our farm from a small plot to 200 acres. From age 12, I worked summers for him, planting, harvesting, hauling sacks under the Idaho sun. He taught me hard work's worth, but he equated it with physical toil. When I got into Boise State's business program, he barely reacted. "College kids think they're above the real world," he said, handing me $20 for gas. That was his goodbye. My mother, Clara, was different. She gave me $500 she'd saved from her diner job and whispered, "Build something that lights you up." She never said it around Dad. In my sophomore year, I created an AI prototype that impressed a professor. "This could change farming for small growers," he said. I dropped out the next semester to turn it into reality. When I called home, Mom cried. Dad hung up. For 2 years, I survived on instant noodles in a cramped apartment with 2 roommates. Investors rejected me, too young, too inexperienced. I taped each rejection to my wall, a reminder of who doubted me. My freshman roommate, Caleb Reed, stood by me. He'd bring me snacks when I forgot to eat, review my pitches, and never doubted me. "You're a genius, Ethan," he'd say. "Don't forget us when you're a big shot." Meanwhile, Dad's comments grew harsher. At Thanksgiving, he introduced me as my son, still figuring things out. At Christmas, he suggested I apply to manage the farm since that tech stuff ain't panning out. He'd change the subject whenever I mentioned my work, pointing out a neighbor's perfect field instead. On my 23rd birthday, I got an email from Agri-Growth Ventures, a major AG Tech fund on the West Coast. They wanted to license my system for $12 million. I read it 15 times, standing in my kitchen, my coffee cold. I called Caleb first. He whooped so loud I winced. Then I called Mom. She cried, but this time with joy. I didn't call Dad. 3 days later, I signed the contracts in San Francisco. Agri-Growth execs took me to a restaurant with no prices on the menu. The CEO, Margaret Ellis, toasted, "To the future of farming." I smiled, but Dad's words echoed, "Pathetic kid. You'll never make it big." That night in my hotel, my cousin Liam texted, "Saw the AG Journal article. Dude, you're famous." I opened my laptop. My face, my company, my story everywhere. 23-year-old dropout secures 8-figure deal with AG Tech giant. My age was mentioned 3 times like it was the headline. I wasn't angry anymore, just clear-headed, like the fog lifting over Boise's fields. I knew what I had to do. The next morning, I walked into a Porsche dealership in jeans and a hoodie. The salesman ignored me until I named my budget. 2 hours later, I drove out in a silver Porsche Cayenne. Not because I wanted it, but because I needed a message Dad couldn't ignore. I didn't call ahead before driving home to Boise. I knew Dad's annual 4th of July reunion would be in full swing, with clients, workers, and family gathered in the backyard. I arrived at 2 p.m., the engine's growl turning heads before I even parked. I pulled up next to Dad's beat-up tractor, my chest tight. This wasn't revenge, it was about being seen. I stepped into the backyard, keys in hand. Silence fell like a switch flipped off. Mom gasped. Dad froze at the grill, tongs mid-turn. "Sorry I'm late," I said, walking toward him. Traffic from San Fran was brutal. He forced a smile, the one he used for clients. "Well, look who showed up." He slapped my shoulder too hard. "Whose car did you borrow for that entrance, son?" Everyone laughed. "It's mine," I said quietly. "Bought it yesterday." He smirked, glancing at Uncle Dan. "And I'm getting a yacht next week." More laughter. I handed him the title from my pocket. His smirk faded as he read it. He folded it, handed it back. "Must be nice having rich friends who let you play with their toys," he said, turning to the grill. "Grab a plate. Your mom made coleslaw." All afternoon I tried to talk. Every time he deflected. When I mentioned the deal, he switched to farm contracts. When I explained the tech, he needed to check the ice. When his partner asked about the AG Journal, Dad cut in. "Don't believe the hype, Greg. Reporters blow everything up." By evening, most guests had left. I found Dad in his office, hunched over paperwork. "Dad, we need to talk about my company." He didn't look up. "Nothing to talk about. You got lucky with some tech thing. Don't think it makes you better. $12 million isn't luck," I said, my voice steady but my heart aching. He glared. "I built this family with 40 years of real work, not tapping on a screen." He pointed to a photo of himself at 20, next to his first tractor. "That's success. What I built is real too," I said. "Is it?" He snapped. "I've seen your kind. Flash in the pan. You'll burn through that money, and those tech sharks will chew you up. Then you'll come crawling back, and I'll have to explain why my son couldn't cut it." I left without a word. In the kitchen, Mom was cleaning up. "He's proud," she said softly. "He just can't show it."
"No, Mom."
"He's scared?" I replied, the truth settling like a stone in my chest. The next morning, Caleb called. "Your dad stopped by the apartment, asking where the money's going." My aunt texted, "James told the diner folks your deal fell through. Said you rented that car to show off." Even Margaret from AgriGrowth reached out. "Someone claiming to be your father called, asking about our contract. We didn't share anything." A cold clarity hit me, not anger, but purpose. I spent the next week in Boise at a hotel, meeting with lawyers, financial advisors, and my growing team. I drove to my parents' house on a Tuesday when Dad was at the fields. Mom let me in, her hands shaky as she poured coffee. "Mom, what's going on with Dad?" She sighed. "He's worried, that's all. Worried enough to call me a liar? To contact my partners." She looked down. "Your success. It challenges everything he's built his life on." "That's not my burden," I said. She nodded. "But he's making it yours." She paused. "The farm's struggling. Has been for years. Big agribusinesses are undercutting him. He can't keep up." The words hit like a punch. "Why didn't he tell me?" "Pride," she said. "If he admits your way worked, he thinks it means his failed." I left, promising to fix things, but the weight of Dad's fear sank in. He wasn't just dismissing me. He was using me to justify his own struggles. That night, I met Uncle Tom, Dad's business partner, at a bar. "He remortgaged the house 3 years ago," Tom said. "Poured everything into the farm, new equipment, more land. It's not enough." "Why tell me?" I asked. "Because he asked if you'd invest your tech money to save it." I leaned back, the irony bitter. He didn't believe in my success, but wanted my money. "He believes it," Tom said. "He just can't say it." The world changed, and he didn't. I drove past the farm that night. Dad was still there, bent over paperwork. I watched from across the street, seeing not my father, but a man clinging to a fading past, blaming me to protect himself. The next morning, Dad texted, "Need to discuss a business opportunity. Dinner tomorrow, 7 o'clock. I replied, "Yes," but I didn't go. Instead, I got to work. I called Margaret at AgriGrowth, asking for data on agribusinesses in Idaho, acquisition targets, and expanders. By noon, I had a list of 3 major players. By 3 o'clock, I had meetings with 2. I called a real estate agent. I need space for a tech hub in Boise's old warehouse district. The next day, I met with Farm Future Company, Idaho's largest agribusiness. Their owner, Carl Hansen, was expanding. "We've wanted Brooks Family Farms for years," he said. "Prime land, loyal clients, but James won't talk. What if I can change that?" I asked. By evening, I had an offer. Farm Future would buy Dad's farm for $1.1 million, twice its paper value, with a 5-year contract for Dad as a regional manager. His workers would keep their jobs with better benefits. I also signed a lease for a 12,000 square foot warehouse for my company's new headquarters in Boise. I hired Liam, who'd just graduated with a business degree, as my COO. "You sure?" he asked. "I've never run anything." "Neither had I said. "But you believe in this." 3 days after skipping Dad's dinner, I walked into his office unannounced, a folder in hand. He glared. "So, you finally show up after standing me up." I set the folder down. "This is bigger than dinner." "What? Your big investment in my farm?" he mocked. "No, an acquisition offer from Farm Future. They want to buy Brooks Family Farms." His face paled. "You went behind my back." "I went ahead of you," I corrected. "The farm's failing. This saves it, your legacy, your workers, and a role for you with profit sharing. You think you can swoop in with your tech connections and take what I built?" he shouted, trembling. I shook my head. "What you built is dying. This keeps it alive." I pulled a key from my jacket, the Porsche key. "This is for you. A gift." He stared, suspicious. "I don't want your pity." "It's not pity. It's an advance." I headed for the door. "The offer expires in 48 hours. After that, Farm Future goes to your competitors. Think about your workers, Dad. Think about Mom." I heard him pick up the key as I left. The next morning, Mom texted, "He drove the car today. Didn't say a word, but he drove it." By evening, Dad had called Carl at Farm Future. Within 24 hours, they had a deal in principle. I watched from afar as Dad signed away the farm he'd built over 40 years. He looked smaller, but his shoulders were straight as he left, the Porsche key in his pocket. But the peace didn't last. A week later, Dad confronted me at a local diner, his face red with anger. "Farm Future's changing everything, new schedules, new routes. They're sidelining my old crew." "It's an adjustment," I said, my stomach sinking. "They'll honor the contract." "You sold me out," he spat. "I trusted you, and now my men are losing their routes." He stormed out, leaving me with a gnawing guilt. I called Carl immediately, demanding they stick to the terms. "We're optimizing," Carl said, "but I'll look into it." The uncertainty lingered, a shadow over my victory. 2 months later, I stood on a stage in my new headquarters. Around me were 150 people, employees, local leaders, press, family. Dad stood in the back, arms crossed, still uneasy in my world. "Today, we launch AgroVision Analytics," I announced. "We're making AG Tech accessible to every farmer, and we're doing it here in Boise." Applause rang out. "We're also investing $1.8 million in Farm Future Regional Holdings, the new parent company of several agribusinesses, including the former Brooks Family Farms." The crowd murmured. Dad's eyes met mine. "As part of this, we're launching a program to help traditional farms thrive in the digital age. I'm proud to announce James Brooks will lead this as Director of Traditional Agriculture." The room erupted. I looked at Dad. James has 40 years of knowledge that can't be coded or taught. By blending his expertise with our tech, we're building something stronger together. After the event, Dad approached me. "You planned this," he said, not a question. "I planned to build something lasting," I replied. "The rest came together." He glanced at the bustling room, my company's name on the wall. "Your name's not on the building." "Neither was yours," I said. "But everyone knew who built it." For the first time, I saw respect in his eyes, not approval but recognition, one builder to another. He shook my hand. The Porsche stays with you, I said. A signing bonus. He smirked. Sold it. Bought a tractor. Put the rest in your stock. 6 months later, I sat in my office overlooking the Boise River. On my desk was a framed article from the Idaho AG Review. Local tech firm boosts traditional farms, creates 120 jobs. Dad and I weren't close, but we'd found a new rhythm. Weekly lunches to discuss the traditional agriculture program. He'd started bringing other farmers, folks like him struggling with tech. They don't need charity, he said last time. They need tools that work for them. I listened, because he was right. The Farm Future deal had stabilized after I pushed Carl to honor the original terms. Dad's crew kept their routes. Our program expanded Farm Future across 2 states, and Dad's old workers now had stock options and better benefits. Mom quit the diner and was traveling, calling me from Paris, laughing about Dad joining her for a baking class. Caleb joined as marketing director, Liam thrived as COO, and we'd hired 25 local grads, keeping talent in Boise. I traded proving myself for building something enduring. The $12 million deal, once my whole world, was now just a starting point. As I left the office, I passed our values wall. At the bottom, Dad's suggestion: honor the roots you grow from. My sedan parked next to Dad's new tractor. No flash needed anymore. We'd both made our points. Driving home, I thought about success. I'd once seen it as proving Dad wrong, but now it was something we were building together, each in our way. I'd gotten my revenge, not by tearing him down, but by creating a future big enough for his past. That felt like winning for both of us.